You thought I looked like this the whole time, but it was actually a web over your eyes, making you think I didn't look like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But now that it's been lifted, hi. Welcome back to Seeker and Confessor, a Sword of Truth podcast. I'm your host, Frank.
And I'm Lauren.
And today we are covering Chapter 43, Part 2 of A Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind.
You always say, oh, wizards.
Listen, there's multiple wizards. This is a wizard's rule.
Oh, so you're trying to clarify that you don't think it's a general wizard's rule.
I don't, no. I believe there's other rules.
Today we have gathered here for a solemn occasion. We have Frank Richard here, and we have Lauren Denna for her
final departure.
Her last hurrah, the last time you will see me in this combo, unless another beautiful red-headed Mord Sith shows up, in which case she will be virtually indistinguishable from Denna.
And the track record shows that some Auburn beauty will be showing up probably in 12 pages.
Yeah, you might see the wig again if Shota ever comes back. Who knows? And yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming he will have another beautiful redhead. So this might not be the last time. As of today, the fact that the hair is down and flowing is actually accurate.
Canonical.
Although not really, because I would be naked.
Do you want to change real quick, or just for the episode? For
dedication.
For the sanctum of the book.
No, I will not, because we will be taken off of YouTube. Yeah, sorry I didn't commit.
I'm sorry too.
To the nakedness.
Yeah.
We discussed many things that we did not like.
Yes.
About the first half of this chapter last episode. And we said as a whole, we thought that the chapter was a mixed bag. What do we think about the second half? How does it measure up to the first half?
It kind of it keeps going with the same energy, maybe going downhill a little bit, and then it kind of peaks up at the end. The rest of the stuff with Darken Rahl and Richard that's going to play out here, it's more of the same, but it's also, the longer it goes on, the more I don't like it.
Okay, yeah.
And then the conclusion with Denna, I liked.
Yeah.
I liked. I don't know how else you're going to end that, you know?
I mean, I think there's a ton of ways. Well, Denna could have survived and been out in the world. And... That would
have been too complex. Yeah, Denna could have just changed her mind about stuff.
Well, no, I think it's I'm not saying he should have done something different. I'm just saying there were other options, but I like what he picked.
Denna could have run away.
I feel like
you probably can't get out of the castle.
She's supposed to be just so intense.
Yeah, you're right.
Right? That's that is her characterization. I bet there are Mord Sith that would do that.
Probably.
But not Denna.
No. That's what's so great about her.
Yeah.
Her commitment to the craft and the way of life.
I liked it.
The second half altogether?
No, I mean, the Darken Rahl stuff's whatever. I liked the conclusion with Denna. I actually think it was written really well.
Okay.
And I think that I weirdly bought into the emotion of it.
I agree.
Which is odd given how many complaints I had. But I'm obviously in all of that mess, there was some thread.
There was a heart.
That really was working, because otherwise I wouldn't have cared. Trust me, I could have read a scene like this in another book and been I do not care that you're killing this woman. But I did care. I really cared. I cried.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she was really cool.
Right.
She had big stompy boots. She hurt people. And all the while she was hot.
That's why I cried.
That's why I
cried.
Care. And you won't get to see her
there
anymore.
Was something emotional about it. I really don't know why. I really do think there was a nugget of something really nice in there.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it comes to fruition really well in this final scene. But everything that has the emotionality baked into it for me, the type of emotional response I'm having and why I'm having it, is incoherent with the rest of the story, unfortunately, which really bothers me, because I'm for you to be able to make me cry, granted, it's not that hard to make me cry. I do be crying, but I peaked at the next chapter's first page and a little bit of the second one, because I was curious. Because in my head,
just a little peek, I was
having the feelings that I was having. Right, I was wow, I'm shocked by the depth of emotion I'm having towards this ending scene. And I thought about how that's really impressive, but then I also thought about how, like, does that...
You don't trust Terry.
Yeah, does that... But no, I'm like, this doesn't actually really make sense when I, like, pluck it out of its own little bubble. Yeah. Whatever. The reason I actually looked had nothing to do with that. I just was being nosy. I was curious what the next chapter would be. And so when I immediately saw Constance's name, it brought to mind my feeling of like, okay, well, actually, let me sit for a second. This doesn't actually, the emotions I'm having, which are about the level of empathy he's giving her, which is obviously what Terry wants. That's what we're supposed to take out of it. Yes. I'm like, but Richard does not actually carry this for 99% of people. It's not even like we're like, oh, he does it for most people, but not Constance. He like barely does it for anyone.
It is inconsistent.
No, but like, I mean, deeply so.
Well, the problem is, with sword magic the way it is, it seems to be analog. Like, he could just toggle the empathy on and off whenever he feels like it.
And of course, there's going to be people who maybe, I don't know, even that's a weird thought. There's going to be some people who don't get that one. Why?
I don't know.
And why Denna? Because Denna could fall into that category. Like, of course, if he was, like, going to kill a Kaylin-esque character, you'd be like, of course he's going to use the white magic to do it. But Denna's in that weird area. Then that is, of course, what makes it emotional that he
is able to
give so much to her in the end. But then to have it be, like, a literal page later, he's like, you, same exact person, but ugly. Not you. I am like, my tears are drying up now. Everything's drying up. Like, I'm just like, what?
Terry really did want her to be bad, and he made her ugly to prove it. And he made her do almost the exact same things as Denna. Actually, Denna did probably worse things by all accounts. But for some reason, she cared through her pain hurting, and that makes her a good person. I don't get it.
So arbitrary and I don't like ridiculous.
It. And I'm here for Richard being like, all of these women were horribly abused. They're all fucked up. Yeah. I can empathize with all of them. Yeah. And I understand why this one who I didn't kill because I don't have to. Yeah. Constance. Well, you know. Well. You got plucked out of your little village. You got broken down when you were a child. You're here now. Yeah, you're kind of a piece of shit. And you know what? I'd be too. I'm going to extend you empathy and not murder your ass.
Right. My thing is like, if he... I don't know. If Richard... This is his characterization. Denna earned that from him because of their connection, and part of it is brainwashing, and there's he was trying to introduce a complexity of... Was that the right thing? Did she deserve that empathy or did she not? I'm not sure. Did Constance deserve empathy or did she not? Is Richard kind of being monstrous in deciding arbitrarily who gets it and who doesn't?
I think so.
I would like that, but that's not... You tell me if you think that's actually the intention. No. Like, somebody come and try to convince me of that, because I don't think it. And then it just really... all my tears feel so... I feel like I want to revoke my tears. I would like to suck them back up into my eyeball and not give them to Terry.
But you can't.
Yeah, it pisses me off. I feel like he literally was like, oh, I made you cry? Like, fuck you. And I don't like that.
But he's not saying fuck you. He's saying somehow weirdly, like, this logic works and makes sense.
Well, to me, that's a fuck you, because I'm like, why'd my dumb ass think that there was...
You're sitting there saying fuck you at yourself for falling for Terry's weird logical...
No, I didn't fall for any logical bullshit at all. I think that he actually was on to something and then he ran away. Just can't...
Yeah, he can't commit.
Or like, he's so, like, I can't even imagine how that would make sense to write.
Because this feels like his weird, twisted, like, internal feelings about something.
Yeah.
That he's trying to, like, logic.
And it's not working.
And it doesn't work, but he's like, I put it on paper anyway, and it works enough for me in this story.
For him, yeah, maybe. And for some other people, yeah, maybe. Not for me, not even a little. But I was like, he did come up with something beautiful for a moment. He occasionally does do that.
He does.
And
that's kind of what's so remarkable about this writing process, because
I think people really seem to fall into two camps with him, where like the things that make me cry here, right? That are like really potent in that moment. People who like his writing really connect to those things, which I understand because I also in that moment was having that feeling. And just because of how big that can feel and how good he can be at doing it, they're willing to then just gloss over all the things I'm whining about.
Pill and just take the good on top of the like pushed it by bad.
But there is an opposite person who also annoys me, who, because of all the bad shit I'm whining about, will kind of act like this. None of this is good. None of these parts have any emotional impact. He never came up with a good idea. He never had a moment of like big heart.
Yeah,
and,
no, he's
and
just
it's
some
like,
weird sexist.
Yeah, you're like, that's not true either.
Writer. It's not true.
It's not true.
No.
You did the opposite thing where like the stuff that is annoying me was annoying you. And then you were like, now I'm just going to kind of like pretend everything was bad. Exactly. And it's like, that's also not accurate. So
not even close.
We're here to be that both. We're trying to do both, man.
We're the arbiters of balance. And you know what I'd say?
So true, yeah.
There's two sides to every book.
Oh,
that's what I'd say.
Nothing is one-dimensional.
Nothing is one-dimensional. Not even Darken Rahl, except
he is. But like,
you know,
yeah.
Yeah. And that is a great note to segue into this part 2. And Denna, for the last time.
Aww.
Angel's up.
Oh, am I doing it?
Of course. That's right. Get it up.
Okay. Angel's up. Frank, I said that we were doing an Angel for cracking an Angel for every time a Ward Sith was in the chapter. Frank doesn't seem to agree with that.
I think that could bankrupt us at some point.
How many? We need to use them. How many do we have? You bought them in bulk.
We got like 4 left. What do you mean?
You bought a lot.
Yeah, you get 12 in a box. What do you think? I have 400 sitting in the corner? Like I have emergency flare rations?
Okay, so we left off really at a high moment in the chapter.
Yeah, Richard plays Advanced Bop It with the second box of Orden.
You made that
I'm
joke.
making it again.
Okay. Denna brought Richard to Darken Rahl for the first time to give the information. They have their back and forth. Oh, do you need the book or the knowledge of the book? The knowledge of the book is in my head, whatever.
Yeah.
But Richard has to prove to Darken Rahl that he does know this book, so he proves it by taking the jeweled casing off of one of the boxes of Orden. So now we have 2 boxes of Orden. Unskinned. What's the word I'm looking for?
Unencased.
Cased.
Yeah.
Unjeweled. And we have...
flayed, if you will.
We have 1 box of Orden on the way. Who's bringing it? We don't know. Everyone's coming. Everyone's on their way. The box is on its way. And that one still has a jeweled case on it. Okay, that's where we left off.
That's where we are.
And yeah, Richard cracked it like an egg. Like the yolk came out. I don't know. All right. Darken Rahl's response to Richard opening it was remarkable.
Remarkable.
He asks Richard if he knows all of the book that well, and Richard says he does, but the instructions for the last box to get the casing off are different, so don't try it, mister. Don't even try it.
Richard's like, not to brag, but yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Uh-huh.
I do.
I do.
I love this part where he's like, Darken Rahl's like, Richard, you can leave. And then they kind of go back and forth. And then Richard's like, okay, yeah, so I'll leave. And then he's like, just kidding, you can't leave.
Actually,
like,
a few more things.
Right,
Wait.
what? All right.
That was weird. And then, yeah, Darken Rahl hits his pensive little...
Oh, I like that.
Little...
That's cute.
You like that?
Do it again. Yeah, I like it.
He described it pretty well. I read it and I did it. And I was like, that is what that pose is.
It's a nice pose.
That is how you would write that.
So yeah, Darken Rahl's like, Richard, you can leave. And Richard's confused, obviously, and he's like, what? Why? And Darken Rahl says the only ways he has to get information out of Richard's brain are gonna like scramble and fuck up his brain.
Scramble up your brain
so bad that
I did think it was interesting that Darken Rahl specifically said it would damage your brain. Because I feel like the obvious choice for a fantasy book is to go for the word mind. But he said brain specifically.
He's a scientific fella.
He is very like anatomical when he cuts the organs out and all that.
True.
So I was like, that's kind of
cool.
interesting. He didn't say mind, brain.
Yeah.
He's gonna scoop out your brain.
Well, he's like hearing how you described all this information.
Yeah,
like it's highly specific, and like I'm definitely gonna jumble it up too bad to even make it useful. So I really have absolutely no use for you. You might as well just leave.
I kind of like that. I like it as an idea. Just being like, I don't know what to do with you right now.
Just go.
Yeah.
Just go. So then Richard says, just like that, I may go. You must know I will try to stop you. And I don't know, I do think it's funny to imagine, though, like, Darken Rahl saying that and Richard's being like, okay, and just leaving, because there's so much more he needs to say. Darken Rahl says, I'm not worried about anything you could do, but you must be back here in 1 week when I open the boxes, if you care at all what happens to everyone. Which, okay.
He probably does.
So he says he's going to open one of the boxes no matter what, based on the information he currently has, because he knows how to avoid the one that will only kill him. And he's either going to rule the world or destroy the world. Those are the only two options.
That's it.
He says, one world, you should say one world or no world. That's the way it shall be. Oh my God, you guys. Wait, Frank's dual charactering. He's here.
One world or no world. That's the way it shall be.
Okay, take it off now. You know, if we need it, it's here. Great. Richard says he thinks he's lying, and Darken Rahl says even if he was lying, he still has a 2/3 shot, and Richard only has a 1/3 shot of winning.
I love this math.
I know, but he's right.
He is right.
He's right.
He's right.
And Richard must decide which option he likes best.
I love that Richard's like, you are going to just destroy the whole world. And he's like, I am a bad guy. I am in fact evil.
Yeah, I might do that, yeah.
Yeah. Then we get Richard on his diatribe. I don't believe you know which box is going to kill you.
Well, yeah. There's no way to know if he knows or he doesn't know.
I think it's important because Richard repeating something means it is factual.
Okay, so you're saying the fact that Richard said that. But I feel like Richard has insisted things multiple times that were false.
Might be true. Yeah, I guess this is kind of Richard, and he says it
but
in his own mind
right.
at some point. Richard is really making sure that he doesn't get Wizard First ruled here.
Well, yeah, and of course, yeah, you would. I love that we're calling lying that.
Well,
I'm just making sure he's not lying.
We're so in it right now that we have to.
Don't Wizard First rule me, bro.
Don't first rule me. Don't WFR me.
Literally, all we mean by that is like him mildly lying and manipulating you.
Darken Rahl responds with, whatever, I'm not lying.
That's always how it goes. But yeah, that is always the back and forth of just like, I think you're lying. Okay, I don't really care if you think I'm lying because I know what the truth is, and that's that. Darken Rahl gives him basically the ultimatum to come back in a week, where he says, if you don't help me and I open the one I want, then I will turn Kaylin over to Constance for training, a good long training. You will watch the whole thing before I kill you. Then Kaylin will bear me a son, an heir, a son who will be a confessor. Okay, so that's his grand plan.
He wants a boy confessor's son.
Yeah, who would be super, super powerful.
And maniacal, and probably just kill him, right? Unless he controls all life, and then I guess maybe that's...
No, I get... Yeah, it's that. That's the goal.
Some way gonna stop.
So he will have this very powerful boy that he is in charge of.
Imagine wanting to take over all life, but then being like, I also need a very powerful boy. Not just that, I need a superpowered son, too. That's part of my grand vision.
Why does he need that? He's got it all covered, I think.
I want to be God, but I also want my child to be, like, really sick. Be able to bench, like, 650.
That makes me think there's some sort of, like, cultural feeling of cultural significance that Darken Rahl has towards these ideas. Like, it's going to emotionally satisfy him in some way.
That's true. I mean, his dad did that to him. He is the superpowered son.
Yeah, I think that's more like a personal desire than like a real need for power.
I guess so. Yeah, that's just something. It's like it's like on the list with like flying in a hot air balloon. He's like, and I need a superpowered confessor boy.
It'll make me feel good.
Yeah, that's really before I die.
So he says if Richard comes back and helps him open the right box, he'll leave Richard alone, and Kaylin will still have to live with him, and she's going to live in the Pupil's Palace, but she's going to be treated like a queen and have every comfort, quote, something you could never provide her.
Your broke ass could never do for her.
And she's going to bear him a son either way, but in option one, where Richard helps, she's like treated super, super well and has a nice, safe, happy life or comfortable life, and in the other one she bears him a son, but everybody's horrible to her and Constance tortures her all the time.
Do I believe him?
Yeah, why not? What why would he not do that?
Because he doesn't have to. And at all. Once he controls the whole world.
Sorry. I thought you were saying the opposite. I thought you were saying, like, do I believe that he would treat Kaylin that badly?
No, I think he's only going to treat Kaylin that badly. I don't think Richard helping or not helping is really going to change much.
Well, why does this man have to, he doesn't have to do anything after.
That's what I'm saying.
The box is open.
And I think that's why he's doing the boxes in the first place, so that he never has to do anything ever again.
I guess he's just,
betting
on, like, he's just like, maybe I'll do it. So Richard has to just bet on the fact that at least there's a chance.
Yeah. I don't believe him.
No.
I know they're trying to prove that he's honorable or something now in this chapter.
I don't know if I'm supposed to believe it or not.
I don't believe it.
He was in fact fairly reasonable with Denna. I feel like he like says something later on that's also really reasonable with Denna, where I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know either
what that means.
I got a couple of questions about this line. So basically, it's your girlfriend / who you'd like to be your wife. I'm going to breed her no matter what you want, but I'll feed her to my dominatrix, or I'm going to treat her like a queen.
Yeah.
Why are we suddenly dealing with Richard's poorness?
Well, I don't know.
Doesn't that feel like a weird low shot that doesn't really even feel like it lives in Richard's brain that much yet?
No, it really doesn't, because you're like, their issue with being together has nothing to do with Richard's inadequacies.
That's what I mean.
It has everything to do with Kaylin not being able to do that.
In the true romance book fashion, Kaylin loves him despite the fact that he lives in a smelly small house in the woods.
Right, but maybe I guess he's had sort of thoughts like that, like where he's always like,
Rahl,
is she's used to this? And,
yes, I get that. Darken Rahl doesn't know that.
No, he doesn't know that, but I guess he's just like...
It's like Terry, just like everyone has that on their mind at all times.
Well, Darken Rahl in particular might, because that's his characterization. I
feel like Darken Rahl wouldn't even think of... He's just like, everyone's beneath me. Of course you're nothing.
Yeah, including Richard, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but would he even have this opinion of Kaylin, that she deserves...
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, though. I think him even wanting to have a confessor child and wanting to breed with Kaylin is due to he has some opinion or emotion towards the role of the confessor.
Here's another question then. Why did he fucking kill all the other confessors? Why didn't he just steal... Yeah, all the quads killed all the confessors. And Kaylin's the last one. So why didn't he just steal a couple of the weaker ones, breed them a couple of times, get a couple of boys going, while he tried to bag the number one spot? You know what I mean? It's not like his seed goes to waste.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. Why did he
I get being like, these are weaker
that?
confessors. I prefer to like...
Get the mother confessor.
The mother confessor, yeah. But then don't kill all the other ones. It's the same problem with the lottery ticket, with the fucking... With the boxes, you got a week, we'll ask him questions.
I'll just... if you desperately want a confessor child...
Keep a couple around. What if Kaylin's barren already or something?
But what if Kaylin... Yeah, she could just accidentally fall off a horse, hit her head on a rock.
You have soldiers everywhere who might just shoot her.
Your dream's dead. Maybe he can make more confessors once he's in charge of the whole world.
Maybe he can. But then he doesn't need to breed Kaylin.
No, he doesn't, but I think he likes that idea. I think
he's
attached to the idea of an old world confessor, the most powerful one being the lineage. I think he would like that sort of thing.
I would like that. I get it. Yeah, but like... Yeah, if you could just crank them out, I guess it doesn't matter.
It's like...
New confessor. Make something better than confessors.
They really are.
I'm just like, they seem to have a ton of drawbacks, and like, you could just fix the process.
I want to know what Darken Rahl's vision of the world after his power. What will it be? What does he want so bad?
I don't know.
Because even the idea that like he wants Kaylin and maybe he's gonna make other confessors. I just made that up, but say that was part of it. Like I'm just like, get more imaginative, bro. Like what do you want? Like what was the whole point? You're just gonna hang out and have baby? Like I don't know.
There is no world here. That's the problem. like what is he ruling? A tiny little place Richard came from. Arundel or whatever we never saw.
Well, I didn't know.
Clean shit house palace.
Addie's house.
Addie's shack in the woods. Shota in the Reach. And the People's Palace. You have the best place so far already.
He wants it all. He wants the Mud People village.
What I don't get is he's strong enough to just be the king of the world. He's already working on that. He didn't need the boxes. This feels like an extra step.
Are you kidding me? The immense... But that's my point on the opposite side. Because I'm saying, like, I feel like there's such a huge difference between, oh, I overtook, I'm king of the world, versus, like, I have power over reality. And then if you have power over reality, because that's way different, I feel like his plans are just so I'm king of the world. And I'm like, no, I want to know why you want that one. And he might want it, but what are you doing after you get it?
Yeah, there's no higher level of like, I want to fight the gods of this place. I want to like join the pantheon.
Well, if it was just... Honestly, I want to sit in a hot tub next to the Faith of the Fallen statues. Like, I want the world oriented perfectly around my comfort and desire. I suppose I think that's what it is, right?
I guess. So what, just like ultimate ego pleasing infinity? Because Darken Rahl is just like some man-child?
I mean, yeah, that kind of fits, doesn't it?
I guess. Is this just a dark man-child's ultimate fantasy of never having to be beholden to anyone else's stressors and opinions? Because, like, same.
But I almost feel like he, like, doesn't want the world to change that much because he almost wants to, like, feel contextually powerful within the
current realm.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
But wouldn't you get bored of that at some point?
Well, maybe he will, and then he has many options available to him.
It's just reshaping, terraforming the world.
That's what I'm like, are you trying to like make Eden here for yourself? Like, what is it that you're doing?
That's what I'd be doing. I'd be fucking like, there's gems all over the world. Trees grow fucking orgasm fruit. I don't know. I'd be going nuts. Not apples are poisonous? No, we're doing... Apples make you blow your load, and then grapes make you get another one. Like, I don't know. We're going crazy, you know?
Just fruit, orgasm fruit?
Orgasm fruits, like the first day. I'm just like, fruit, orgasm.
God, that would be so exhaustingly boring quickly.
Watermelon refuels you, so you can have another orgasm fruit.
Why only fruit? Darken Rahl says Richard may not like the choices presented to him, but that's how it goes sometimes. And Richard just keeps repeating he doesn't think Darken Rahl knows which box is going to kill him. And Darken Rahl says, are you willing to bet Kaylin's future with Constance on it? And then Richard asks if he can go, but Darken Rahl says, actually, I have some other stuff I have to tell you.
We're not done.
So
Sorry.
even though I said a second ago you could leave, no, you can't.
Why is Constance the only Mordsith that exists in this world other than Denna? We know there's more Mordsith that he probably came up after this book. So why?
Oh my god!
Why is Constance the benchmark? Do you really want her to go to Constance, my general? Constance is just some like emotionally disturbed woman. Like, you probably have 30 of them, right?
I would imagine.
I think there's at least another 8 Mordsith, right?
Aren't there like hundreds?
I don't think there's hundreds. I hope there's not hundreds of Mordsith. Maybe there are. Are there hundreds of Mordsith that have gone through this process and lived?
Are they not doing it like every year? They're getting girls, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess 4 or 5. Yeah, they're just like aging like fine wine, right? It takes like a decade to make one, so... But if you crank out like 3 every year, you're still going to have a bunch. Oh. Did this start with him? Even better question. Has this been going on? Is there a retainer of Mordsith at all times?
Yeah, I don't know if Darken Rahl's the starter of that, or if he just liked the idea and took it over.
Don't know.
Like, was Penis doing this?
I feel like Penis was. Penis would, you know?
Richard wants to leave. Darken Rahl's like, no. Then Richard feels paralyzed, and it wasn't clear initially to me if that was magically or not.
Or emotionally, yeah.
But it was later.
Magic,
it is magical. And so Darken Rahl takes the Nightstone out of his pocket. Shadow things start to materialize. Mm-hmm. And then they start like swirling around Darken Rahl, and he says, "Time to go home, my friends." And they disappear.
Kind of cool, kind of badass. Yeah.
And then the Nightstone turns to ash. Does he blow it away?
Yeah, he does.
Which is so dramatic.
It's so dramatic. And we love him for it, you know?
Yeah, so he blows away the ashes of the Nightstone.
I like to think he just like blows into Richard's face. Like...
And he tells Richard that Zed has been using the Nightstone magic to like keep track of Richard and like I guess peer in and see what he's doing, it seems like.
Yeah, some Palantir shit.
Yeah, so which is fine. Like I buy stuff like that. It's a little convenient, but it's like yeah, sure, why not? Then Darken Rahl says the next time he uses it, he'll have an unpleasant surprise and find himself in the underworld. I was like, but like what? Just like is he literally I don't know. I was
this
like,
man has one trick and it's underworld spells.
He loves he's good at it.
Zed's got no shot because I'm hitting him with another underworld spell.
Right, but I guess I was imagining it like, I don't know, he's just like visualizing something. So I'm like, I don't know, he's just gonna be like, oh, and leave.
It's gonna be his wizard's web tangled with the underworld magic, and he found himself tugged into the under wizard world.
So Richard's furious at Darken Rahl for doing that to Zed, and he's also angry that he can't move, which, again, implies it's magic. So then he, like, just intuitively stops resisting. And he just, like, relaxes. He just relaxes into it. He's like, whatever.
You know what, man?
I don't even care.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And then he just fucking steps out of the web.
And then he's free to
I'm actually chill about this. And just leaves the web.
And Darken Rahl congratulates him on figuring out how to break the wizard's web. Granted, it was only a little one. He
does say that.
But he does.
It's only a tiny baby web. Don't think you're that strong or nothing.
But it's cool that you got it.
It's cool you can do it, though.
And so the Darken Rahl says Richard is not just a seeker. He has the gift. And Darken Rahl looks forward to the day that they are on the same side. And he's going to teach Richard more if he wants. And Richard says, we'll never be on the same side. Never. Which makes me think that they will be, but then I don't think that's true.
No.
What's the Animal Farm quote? That's like
all
some
humans
pigs
are equal, but some. Oh yeah, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others.
It's like that. It's like empathy for some animals, but
empathy for all animals, but
some
deserve more empathy than others.
Which like actually sounds kind of accurate when you say it.
Yeah, true.
But how much empathy we give Denna does not seem like it fits into that equation.
It doesn't. Not at all.
I don't know. Just him being like, we'll never work together. You're like, oh, it would be interesting if like Richard has to learn that like maybe he does have to work with Darken Rahl. And then you're like, okay, I guess it's okay to like draw those lines to be like, you are way too evil. I don't know. I just don't know what we're saying making Denna as bad as she was and being like, but that's not where the line is. It's like,
the problem always comes back to Richard feels like a paladin on a holy quest.
Yeah.
But the attempt, what's interesting about paladins is your holy quest objective or not?
Okay.
And it's usually not, and that's what's interesting. It's
right, sure.
It's something that is subjective. You're trying to find a personal reason that it actually is objective to you.
Uh-huh.
Except then this book says it's not objective to you, it is objective, period.
Or like,
Richard is the arbiter of truth.
It's objective, period. Or I'm like, I don't is that what we're saying?
I think so. I don't think Richard's never really brought to task on his truth sleuthing abilities. In fact, he's the chosen one.
But
a seeker has never done what Richard does.
I'm struggling to believe that that's not going to be a plot point at some juncture.
I don't know if it ever is. I don't remember. But I don't.
It has to be. It has to be.
I don't know.
I'm
sure someone calls into question his ability to like
truth seek
a bunch. I'm sure in minor ways, but he's always going to be right.
I know. I just am like, it's almost impossible to write a character like that. It's impossible to write a character that you are like, no, I'm being serious, guys. Like if you really think about it, he is always doing it based on real truth.
Tolkien
morally
would do it, and that character would like never move.
I don't think he would because he didn't. So
that's what I'm
if
saying.
He wanted to,
that
he
character would like just not be able to move due to the like mountainous weight of that responsibility, and that would be the lesson. Like he'd just be like, he's like, the gods broke off a piece of themselves. It was truth incarnate, and he never left his seat because he couldn't make any decisions.
I don't know. I just am like.
Or he blew away in the wind, because the wind is truth. Oh. Wind and truth.
Oh, God, don't remind me. Richard just seems like a guy who's making some choices based on, like, very human, fallible, but somewhat understandable, okay logic that you're like, yeah it's mid. your ability to suss out who deserves the empathy, what's true, what's not, is mid.
It's mid. And
at best.
Definitely could be probed deeper, but you're just like refusing to.
I don't know.
Or it's like his limitation is internal, and then we're not supposed to question further. It's like exactly where Richard's empathy ends.
Yeah.
We're supposed to go, and that's the line.
No,
and
bitch.
it's like I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's a whole field over
I'm
there.
not accepting it. I will never.
I know.
Never. Couldn't be me. So we're going to just keep questioning this thing. I don't know. I really would like to find out that Richard's fallibility and Richard's point of view not being precisely the right, because isn't that part of the theming? Terry really likes the idea of like, oh, but if you look at it from this direction, it seems okay, and if you look at it from this direction, it blah blah blah. Like, isn't that, he brings it up enough that I'm
he does. Because I think it's like he's paying lip service to the alchemical concept of duality, but he believes there's a unified unilarity seekable within it that this regular guy can just figure out.
Well, it's just frustrating because there might be some things that you could say that about. Like, you could be like, I have like this grouping of things and behaviors and actions that I do think are morally like unquestionably bad or good, but it's only a couple of things.
You're right.
And like Richard's just, I don't know, I find the Denna and the Constance thing, like, you're like, this is just nitpicky nonsense. This is not one of those grand concepts at play. So like, if he's going to be able to like cleave through truth to that level of nuance, no. Of course he can't be right. That's definitely subjective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so spoiler, he does kill Denna at the end of this chapter. We said it. And he does so with this newfound power that we'll go into when we get there. But the love that he uses to murder her.
Yeah.
If he then took that love and murdered Constance with it as well, with that intentionality, being very like, you need to die.
Yeah.
What was happened to you was fucking horrible, and I feel so bad. Mm-hmm. But like, I need to put you down because you're now standing in the way of goodness. Totally. But I love you.
No,
if that was the attitude,
100%, I'd be fine with.
If he goes on a red sworded rampage through the palace, people's palace for the next week, killing everyone, but being like, "I love you. I'm so sorry."
I mean, that's kind of crazy. That's like,
it would be fucking sick, though.
But that's like
Holy Avenger. That's what it is.
Genocidal love. You know, it's a little weird.
Well, you know.
So when Richard says that they're never going to be on the same side, Darken Rahl says, "This is your wish, Richard. I bear no ill will toward you. I hope we will become friends." And I guess we believe him.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
Probably not, but
again, that's also him being like so weirdly reasonable. Like, he's so like, whatever you choose, Richard, whatever you want, Denna, whatever, you know what I mean? I'm just confused by it.
Yeah.
Is this like a new leaf because he's about to have ultimate control, that he's like willing to
that's
be
what I'm
less
I'm
controlling?
kind of thinking he's in that like glowing week where he's like, everyone gets presents this week. It's okay. I'm gonna be God, so you know.
Right. Yeah, I wish I had just had more of Darken Rahl's point of view in terms of like, does he perceive himself as, when I become God? I could see both of these being the way he's doing it. Like, when I become God, it's good because I am so reasonable and I am so empathetic and I'm going to extend these lovely graces to everyone and be so fair, blah, blah, blah. Or is he like, I want to be God because I don't care at all. I want to be in charge. Fuck you guys. I do whatever I want. And I kind of feel like he's been presented both ways.
Correct. But I think that he believes he's going to be fair, but his version of fair is just selfish.
No, because that's still the second option. I'm saying like a very conscious, like, I'm not even pretending that I'm fair. I'm just, of course I want to be in charge. I'm in charge. Who cares? Like,
I think he's delusional. I think that's supposed to be the idea. In my mind, I think Darken Rahl believes he's a good person and that he's going to do good things for the world. I think he thinks that's true because he's so internally grandiose. Like, I think he thinks.
I just feel like I haven't seen much of that.
Fair.
You know what I mean? Like, his chapter, the times he's like shown up and done things, that's like never the vibe. I
He
don't
just
know.
rolled into the mud village and just nuked everyone from a dragon.
It's that, like, him showing up with, like, Queen Malena. Not that I thought he would have killed her, but he didn't. So I guess that was, like, him being fair. But, like, I don't know. He's just never, like, I don't know. I wish he had then more of a, like, paternalistic tone throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, because they paid lip service to Father Rahl, and, like, with Carl, it was very like that.
Yeah.
He should just have always held that tonality, and he doesn't, really. Especially in those moments where, like, you don't see him, but you hear about what he's doing.
Yeah, you're like, oh, geez, okay.
Butchering an entire village of people doesn't feel like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I would just need to hear his logic of, like...
Would have been cool. While they're in the
why
Spirit
did
House,
I do that?
Have a quick POV from Darken Rahl just burning them all down.
Would love
being
that.
Like, raining the fire on these savages is like
Yeah.
for their benefit, so they know who will lead them into the golden age. Like, give
Precisely.
me something like that. You know?
Anything like that would have been like, all right, I see where we're...
I'm like mentally filling it in for
Wait,
Terry.
I need to...
Oh.
We need to discuss. I hope...
Oh.
I don't know if I'm supposed to put this on blast, but...
Let's do it.
Ajax Cinnamon Sticks left a comment saying that he is rewriting as a project for fun, rewriting Wizard's First Rule and making, like, fixing all these weird little things. And I don't think he replied back to me because I maybe invasively asked to read it because I want to read it. I want to see that so bad.
I'm so hype at the concept.
I would love that.
Because there are things in here where Terry cooked, and you
cooked, yes.
can cook better.
I know.
You can improve this recipe.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like eating a chicken noodle soup that you're like, oh, it's like mostly just broth and a little bit of noodles. And you're kind of like...
But you'd never had chicken noodle soup before, let's say. Yeah, and you're like, good ideas.
Okay.
Good ideas.
But you're
not
like,
the best soup I've ever had.
Why don't we put all sorts of stuff in there?
Shiitake mushroom.
Well, that's the me and Frank special. Our chicken noodle soup comes with shiitake mushrooms.
Yes,
and
it does. And
it
leeks.
is the superior version.
It's an overpowered soup. Its power level
it actually is
12
so
out of
good.
10. Like it's.
I think that Ajax is putting shiitake mushrooms in Wizard's First Rule right now, and I want to eat it.
Can't wait to eat it. Yeah.
So Ajax, tell us if you ever feel like you'd like to share. You share it just with us, and we will not give it to others. Or if you want to spread the wealth, I feel that the people who listen to us would really enjoy reading that.
Or if the next podcast is us reviewing your book.
I gotta
oh!
a whole series.
Whole series for Ajax.
Holy shit. Anyway, I was really excited to hear that anybody was doing that. That's really very cool.
I think it's sick.
Darken Rahl tells Richard he can choose. He can stay in the People's Palace if he wants to, or he can leave. But if he leaves, there is something that will be happening. There is a wizard's web around him called an enemy web.
Wrapping him up real good.
I really don't know why this whole little section just kept making me laugh. Just the way it was being described. But this is so convoluted.
Well, this is convoluted, and the end of it kind of gets into what you were just saying about how does Darken Rahl perceive himself and all this sort of stuff. But keep going.
Yeah. So he says, all will see you as their enemy, which isn't quite true.
Not all.
That's not actually true.
Well, no, it is.
No,
keep
it's
going,
not.
Keep going.
When
Yeah,
your allies see you, they will see an enemy, okay? Those who honor me, Darken Rahl, will see you as yourself since you are my enemy.
Yeah, so everyone's seeing him as an enemy. If you do see him as an enemy already, you'll just see him. If you think he's a friend, you're going to now see him as an enemy. That's the concept. And now I have questions about magic.
I have a lot of questions.
So the wizard's web that was restraining him,
yeah,
simple little trifle of a spell.
Well, the wizard's web seemed to have lots of application. They could do many things.
you could do anything with a wizard's web.
You can hold a guy. You can hide who your father is.
You could attach a tracker cloud to something.
Yeah, you could.
You could view through stones
isn't that how,
in pockets.
We hid the bread with the magic.
Yeah, wizard's web wrap
the
bread box combo. Yeah,
we can also turn you into a perpetual enemy, whatever that.
Well, no, this is enemy web. It's different from a wizard's web.
No, he said it's a wizard's web called an enemy web.
Oh, so it's and then wait, what was the poison, the tracker? No, what was the James web?
Was that a web? I don't know.
Oh, it was a spell.
I don't think it was a wizard.
Circle spell or
don't
map
think it
spell?
was a wizard's web.
Whatever. Yeah, fascinating, all this magic. So now my question is, So he can't break this one because it's not on him, it's on other people's perception of him.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Are we saying I have a problem, but I think we're saying the same thing.
Let me hear.
Just like, yeah, so since the people who are on Darken Rahl's side think Richard's an enemy, he will continue being an enemy. People who are against Darken Rahl will think Richard's with Darken Rahl, so he's their enemy. Okay, but is anything this black and white ever? Like, you're telling me there's nobody in this castle right now who is, like, kind of out of convenience on Darken Rahl's side, but also like has conflicting emotions where they're like, yeah, okay, I see where he's coming from, but also I don't really totally trust him, and maybe I'm considering jumping ship. What does Richard look like to that person?
I'm assuming the magic of the palace itself forces everyone that works there.
That is really
everyone
stupid.
with a W-2 from the people's
What does that
palace
mean?
loves Darken Rahl,
No.
right? They love Darken Rahl. They're on his side.
You don't think
They're all on his
people
side.
outside?
Nope. All on his side.
I'm saying there's people outside of the castle who I'm sure, again, just have complicated feelings. They don't know if they like Darken Rahl. No one in this
Feels that
castle
way
is a
about Darken
little bit not one person in the castle. I'm not saying, because I think they'd be like, well, maybe there is someone in the castle who doesn't like him, and then Richard would
seem like a scary guy all of a sudden.
I don't know. I think this is so dumb. I'm talking about people who are existing where they're like, I don't know how I feel.
I don't know. It's my boss. I don't really feel that much about him.
Out in the
I get
world.
paid to make the soup. Yeah, the salad guy, right? Never
That's
seen
what-
Darken Rahl a day in his life. He puts the croutons on the salad.
Yeah.
He sees all the Mord Sith. He's kind of horny about them. He just goes about his day.
Exactly.
Is that man going to see Richard as what?
What is Richard to him?
I don't know.
I'm just saying if he's outside, especially outside of the castle, if he chooses to leave the People's Palace, I imagine most people out there don't have this like hard-lined love or hate Darken Rahl. Most of them are probably like, I'm a little scared of him, but maybe he would be the best option to keep us safe.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I have really complicated feelings.
Listen here. You're talking about grays, and we don't fuck with that. All right. Listen, if there's a gram more black, it's black. If it's a gram more white, it's white.
Maybe that is
all right?
how it works.
And that's how it works. All right. What side of the line are you on? That's the side of the line you're on. If you're true 50-50, Darken Rahl hates you, and he'll make you pick, and then he'll smite you.
Like, do you get what I mean? It just doesn't like it. I don't think emotions work. It's like
They don't.
If somebody's favorite color is blue, this spell will do. It's like,
And it's like, well, I kind of like a turquoise. I like a mauve.
What do you
There's
mean?
blue in the purple, so
or you're like, yeah, I really liked blue this week, and then I saw a beautiful sunset, and like, I love orange right now. Like, I don't know. I just feel like these are not firm things. They're not firm.
no. He could have just said, "Your greatest friends will see you as an enemy."
That would work. I don't get why not just make it everyone will see you as an enemy.
Because then Denna would have been like, "What the fuck is this?" when he came back into the room, you know? She would have seen like a giant spider or something, you know?
That doesn't make any sense. I think most people just aren't gonna.
Once again, he didn't really think about things through enough. And then they're kind of just shitty because you're like,
Well, I was like, how do you think people's brains work?
varied. Black and white. What
How
do you mean?
do you think people feel and think? Moment
Sort
to
of
moment.
truth, sort of truth, sort of truth.
I don't get it. This would not work. The only people this would work on are like the highest level. Like, yes, it'll work on like Zed and Kaylin, who are like, we're
Yeah.
determined to kill him. It'll work on Darken Rahl and Demon, who are like, we love us. It's not gonna work on anyone else.
Yeah,
Like,
the fucking orchard picker at
Like, what?
outside Fardahara is gonna be like, yeah, Richard, I can take him or leave him. Darken Rahl, you know, he my lord, but you know, and
literally,
what is Richard Godzilla to this man or not? Like, what I need to know.
what is he seeing?
I don't know. Once that enemy web hits his eye, so then my question: where does the enemy web live? Because
On you.
but then he can't break it because it's affecting their percent. It doesn't make any
Wait,
sense.
I don't get your
Richard was
problem.
paralyzed by the wizard's web.
That's a paralyzed
Holding
web.
him.
This is an enemy web. He has the fucking dad hiding web on him right now.
That's too tight to break.
It's too complex.
Richard is covered in fucking web. He's coated. My dude is slathered up in webs that he can't even see. They're in his mouth. They're in his eyes.
Whoa, wait. Oh my God.
What?
Sister Spider. And the webs. And the webs.
We've been
breaking.
seeing.
He's been breaking webs.
The whole
time. He's been breaking webs.
Terry, you god.
Wait, kinda.
No.
He's been.
No.
This man lives to break webs.
There are no motifs. If we got 3 books in and then you were like, the god of magic is actually a spider.
Ooh.
And no, we don't get that.
Ajax.
Right. Sister Spider is real.
Web motif now.
Living in the Reach. Yeah.
Web motif now.
Web motif.
No, that is something. Don't even try to convince me it's not.
Yeah, sure. He's been break. Oh, and what do you break webs with?
Your face.
A sword. Sure. A sharp object like a sword.
No, he didn't break the web with the sword. He broke it via relaxation and meditation.
What does that mean? What do you think about it?
Well, it's sort of like going through the woods, hiking is Richard in his meditative, calm state, and that's where he be breaking webs.
He breaks them constantly.
And getting information when he breaks the web.
In the forest of the mind. Yeah.
And now
he
has to figure out how to do that while not hiking in the woods. Okay, anyway, he can't break... So, whatever. Anyway. He broke this stupid paralyzed web. That's why Darken Rahl said, well, it's just a little web. Uh-huh. He can't break the daddy web, and he can't break... He can't break the enemy web
He's
either.
Soaked in that dirty web.
He'd have to relax so much to break those.
Yeah, imagine sleeping. I would take a power nap and break every web in like 5 minutes. I'd just be like, listen, hold on. That's my father? Wow. I didn't break the web that allows me to tell you, but I broke it, so I know it. Hold on. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is my father. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
You can tell me now?
Yeah.
He's
calling.
And I'm like, that just it went through my brain too after you woke up. Where
the whole world now knows.
He looks just like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
I know. You thought I looked like this the whole time, but it was actually a web over your eyes, making you think I didn't look like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But now that it's been lifted, hi.
And you can only see it if you are a true lover of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yes. If you hate The Rock, then you
look like something
else. The Rock says you look like... See, the voice, you're starting to hear it now, too. The web over your ears is being lifted. One more nap, and I'm just going to be indistinguishable. You'll be like, is that Maui? Is this a podcast about Maui? What's going on here? Wow.
That's your favorite. That's your number one.
That's most people's number one. I assume most people don't watch wrestling.
I don't think most people's number one thought with The Rock is Maui.
Write it in the chat, guys. Where did you first encounter The Rock? What's your favorite Rock moment? My dad. Papa Rock.
Okay. Instead of just being, I don't know, making life impractical for Richard and to encourage him to stay at the People's Palace, is that I would like you to see, maybe you should say this.
I would like you to see the way that people think of me. See the world through my eyes.
So glad Darken Rahl stepped in for that.
How did the hair get so big?
Because you have it all the way down to your eyebrows. Your hairline's at your eyebrows.
This is how hair is in Dahara. He believes everyone in his palace loves him. Yeah. Everyone outside of his palace hates him unfairly, unjustly. Yeah.
Okay, so wait. Do you believe that this is why he did this to him? You think this was
I
part
believe
of it?
He did it to Richard because Terry needed a way for Shota's prophecy to come true.
I know that. I'm aware. I know. I thought the same thing.
Without possibly having us have to grapple with the... Oh, is Zed bad for hurting Richard for the sake of the world? And I fucking hate it. Let it happen. We've talked about it. Zed and Kaylin have said we would kill anyone for this goal.
Maybe we are supposed to think that they're wrong for that, and at the end of the day, they wouldn't.
But we are now robbed from seeing that.
Well, who knows which way it would go.
That's what I'm saying.
Because he will, in fact, be an enemy. Oh, the misery. Everybody wants to be my enemy.
And that's how the spell works, Richard. Now you understand.
Everybody, oh, the misery.
Everybody wants to be my enemy. Yeah.
What's the next line?
E.
No! They say something.
Watch out for yourself.
No. Oh, the misery. Everybody wants to be my enemy. Everybody wants to be my enemy. E. But what's the other part?
Spare the sympathy.
Spare
Everybody wants to be my enemy.
Everybody.
My enemy. Look out for yourself. But I'm ready.
Spare the sympathy.
But not the empathy.
Everybody wants to be my enemy. Okay.
Now
That's so appropriate.
Your words up on the wall as you're praying for my fall. And the laughter in the halls. And the names that I've been called. This is literally Darken Rahl's. Darken Rahl put this on his MySpace. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. The Harn theme song, actually.
It's Darken Rahl's personal theme song. Darken Rahl loves Arcane, that's what I heard.
Yeah, he does.
Who does he relate to? He is,
I think that he relates to Victor. Yeah, definitely.
Maybe a little Victor, a little Ambessa. Put them together.
A little, yeah. He would hire him. He would like Ambessa's energy, I think. Yeah. Richard goes, all right, I'm going to head out.
Yeah, am I free to go now? He says, of course, my boy. Which, why the Zed thing? And Richard calls it out right after that Darken Rahl is reminding him of Zed. What? Yep. Why are we making that? I guess it's father figure time.
Father figure time.
I'm not really sure what that means. Why are they similar? And if there's... Because here, I'm confused by... If we're never going to extend Magic White Sword empathy towards Darken Rahl, why even make attempts to be oh, actually he has qualities in... that are similar to Zed or similar to Richard or whatever. Because I'm well, then make him alien. And then if you want me to be even if he doesn't ever decide to give him White Sword empathy, you could make it questionable. You could make it sort of oh, but should he? We're not sure. It kind of oscillates back and forth your feelings on it. And the feeling of maybe he should could be related to him having those qualities that are relatable to the characters we like. I guess I'm just if you want to be he's the hard line, no fucking way, why even try to humanize him like that? I
don't know. Make him Demon.
Yeah.
Don't make him this weird hybrid of, unless you want to deal with the complexity.
Well, then you can do the thing of he really is across that line, but also I see these things about him that are human and remind me of the people I love and whatever. And then we're what should he do?
Maybe the next couple of chapters.
Yeah, maybe he'll grab. Maybe he'll.
That,
Will there be a moment where the sword is white and he's looking at Darken Rahl and then he's no, and he puts it back in its sheath. In
the scabbard. I don't know. Maybe. No.
That's the scene I'm writing. Yeah. He's holding it and it turns white as he reflects on Darken Rahl's humanity.
Wow.
And then he's no.
But then he remembers every dirty underworld spell he used against Zed and it turns black. I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, Richard asks well, what's up with me and Mistress Denna though? I can leave, but aren't I still dealing with her?
Yeah.
And Darken Rahl's yeah, for sure. She's still in charge of you. I can't make her give you your magic back. She still has it. So then they have this back and forth. So Richard's okay, then how am I free to leave? I can't if Denna's holding me.
Yeah.
And then he says, isn't it obvious? If you want to leave, you must kill her. Then Richard says, kill her?
Bro, don't you think I tried that?
Yeah, basically.
Don't you think I tried that?
And he says, you have always been able to kill her. Richard says, how? There is nothing that exists that has only one side. I kind of liked this. Even a piece of paper, thin as it is, has two sides. Magic is not one-dimensional either. You have been looking at only one side of it. Most people do. Look at the whole. Okay, that's cool. I also think it kind of fits with Darken Rahl's character because his whole thing is kind of looking at the underside of the magic.
Yeah.
And being yeah, that's nice that we're all doing
positive
good
magic.
Stuff over here.
What about the negative
magic? Let's go do this one.
Technically, paper has infinite number of sides, but we're not going to get into that.
All right. I suppose, yeah, right.
No physical piece of mass is just two-sided, but whatever. We live in a three-dimensional world.
So, I don't hate that concept, although I don't know that thematically we, like, use that idea, like,
it's
more
new.
broadly.
This is Wizard's second rule, probably, or something. I don't know.
So, he points to his dead guards, and he's like, well, you killed them, despite
Killed
her
these bros.
having control of his magic. Richard says it's not going to work against her, though. I wasn't directing it towards Denna. And he says, yes, it will, but you must be its master.
Yeah, it will.
He says, half measures will get you in a lot of trouble. She controls you with one dimension of your magic, the side you offered her, which was his hate, right?
Yeah.
You must use the other side. It is something all seekers have been capable of, but none has ever succeeded in mastering. Perhaps you'll be the first.
Okay. Questions. He offered her his hate, right? Mm-hmm. So now he's going to offer her the flip side, right? She can't hold more than one magic?
I know.
What if Constance came in the room? Could she steal the other part of the magic?
Well,
Can you not...
Yeah, why can't Denna just steal that part of the magic?
Can she only hold one? Is this other side not holdable?
Why not?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm asking the question.
Right, why wouldn't it be? Why couldn't she just capture that?
Just use other magic, Richard.
The logic of the Mordsith the whole time has just been you present magic to them, they steal it, and it's theirs. So, like...
And they use it to hurt you.
Yeah, which is weird, because, like, some part of me... So
she stole his hate and hurt him with his own hate.
Sure.
And now he's going to kill her with his love. Why can't she capture it? Why can't she give up the hate magic? A lot of these, this whole thing is like, so she took the hate magic. Are they unable to release magic?
No, she can. Don't they talk about it at the end where he's like, you could just like let me go, and she's like, I'm not going to do that.
Okay, yeah. All right, so she has to die because she refuses to not die.
Yeah, her interesting thing at the end is this, I don't know if it's incoherent or complex, I'm not sure. She seems to be very like, I want to die not as a Mordsith, I want to be myself, but then...
Refuses to not be a Mordsith.
Yeah, but then she's also being like, no, but I need to be I literally am going to die because I can't not be a Mordsith. I guess Denna does have both of those feelings at the same time.
That's complex, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to... I literally can't stop being a Mordsith, hence her... You are what you are
what you are.
You know,
you can't
Richard's
be anything
quote.
more than what you are.
So she's like, I really am a Mordsith at this point, and I can't.
What else can I do? Yeah.
But she's also like, I wish I wasn't. Kind of.
I guess so.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's that she. We'll talk about it. I guess I'll reference it when we get there. But like, yeah, I think it's that now she is a Mordsith, but she wants to die with a version of her that wasn't a Mordsith, because that did exist at some point.
Fair.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm getting out of this.
Okay.
Yeah, so when Darken Rahl's explaining to Richard how he could potentially maybe use this love magic...
Whatever.
Whatever. That's when Richard's like, he sounds so much like Zed. This is exactly how Zed talks to me. I don't really know what that's supposed to mean.
I don't know. So he's talking too much like Zed for my liking. I'm like, yeah, me too.
What?
Make him not do that.
I don't get
Unless it's going to mean something. We'll find out.
Darken Rahl says if he doesn't figure out how to kill her, he's in for a rough week, because Denna is not happy with how Richard embarrassed her, and she will be bringing Richard back to Darken Rahl at the end of the week, and that's when he's either going to help or he's going to let his friends suffer and die. Okay. So Richard, I liked this. Richard tells Darken Rahl, like, he's like, just tell me how to do it. Like, just literally tell me how to make it work and I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then Darken Rahl says, of course, right after you tell me the knowledge in the book of Counted Shadows. And then he's like, I didn't think so. Good night, Richard.
Yeah, peace.
Which
it's funny.
True.
Yeah.
The sun is setting as Richard leaves the Garden of Life. He's reflecting on all the information he learned during this conversation. And he's thinking about Shota's prophecy, and he's trying to understand why Zed and Kaelin would ever use their powers against him. And I'm just like, it's gotta be the enemy web. It's gotta be.
It's the only thing I can think of.
You remember that part where he said, anyone who likes you will think
you're the bad guy?
You're their enemy? It could be that.
They might They might do that.
I don't know, but for Richard, we are constantly like, he's so smart, he's so clever, he's so quick, he puts things together so fast. I'm like, once again,
unless it's convenient for him not to.
How did I put it together?
Because it was obvious to me. It's just like, oh, the bad thing that we were worried about. That's how.
And and it's not even like he just wasn't thinking about
I know,
Shoda's
he's
prophecy.
too stressed. No, he's like, wait, Shoda's prophecy.
I'm like, he just gave you the puzzle piece right there to answer your question. What? He decides the only thing that's worth thinking about is how to get away from Denna, because if he can't get away from Denna, he just like can't do anything, right?
Yeah, it's hard to think.
And he thinks about getting rid of the sword, but it still hurts too much when he tries to grab it. He like can't even pick it up. He's walking towards Denna's room, and then he's like, what if I did just like leave? Like, what would happen? So he tries to like go down another hallway, and he like falls to the ground.
Buckled, yeah.
It hurts too much. And
it is funny. And these are the half measures, right? He's trying to like run away from his duty here.
The devotion bell rings. He decides that he's going to go to devotions because he wants time to think. I thought this was kind of interesting.
Me too.
He goes to one of the squares that has water, which he likes the best, and he finds it peaceful. And while chanting, he finds that like he actually is able to like find a lot of peace and relaxation in the process, and he gets up feeling very refreshed. There's something intriguing about that, like that Darken Rahl making them do that, which we do seem to say like is bad in some way, because like again we're all kind of
indoctrination
lying.
and not, yeah.
But there is something about it that Richard is finding useful.
Forced meditation,
yeah,
or at least habitualized meditation.
So then it makes you like, oh, maybe Darken Rahl's kind of like a little onto something. Right?
Clearly, yeah.
You know, so I thought that was kind of cool. So then he gets up, he admires the beauty of the palace and wonders how Darken Rahl can surround himself with such beautiful things.
Despite being such a nasty-ass bitch. Yep.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh my god, wait, he's right. Nothing's one-dimensional. There's always two sides to the magic. Yeah, okay. That's nice. Not Constance, though. Then he thinks about the strange magic that awoke in him when he felt sorry for Princess Violet, not for very long, mind you, and he wanted to protect Denna, and he thought about Caitlin. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back to the Princess Violet thing, right? Being like,
please don't.
Remember when my white sword empathy power grew up in me, feeling sorry for Princess Violet, and then in 3 seconds became so deeply irrelevant that I disfigured her for life? What does that mean? What does that mean? I
felt bad for her. But then she insulted someone I care about, so I destroyed her face. That's empathy.
What the fuck are you talking about?
It's like schizophrenia.
Like, literally, what are you talking about?
You just kicked her so hard in the face she doesn't have a jaw. Because you care?
Well, how much did that empathy mean? It was meaningless. It was useless. It was
It's not
bullshit.
like you were like, I'm gonna like, I don't know, smack her around a little bit and send her off to boarding school for the School of Hard Knocks because she's got to learn how to be and that's for her own good. No, you destroyed her face. It's not like...
But it's just like that empathy really had a limit on it. My God.
Immediately. You said one bad thing about Caleb. Listen, I love you more than life itself, but I will cut all your teeth out of their joints if you insult my not even girlfriend. You know?
I will serial killer you.
I will. I would
like, in a moment.
I will like like a Mortal Kombat cutscene where like just fractures all over your skull. That's.
I just like don't. I'm like, who cares? Was that really? Is that how this magic is that flippant and like irrelevant and meaningless?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Cool. Well, you see, she was saying bad things. So.
Yeah. Just because Denna didn't say or do any bad things. Okay. Whatever. It's so freaking weird. And
so right now, none of it really makes sense.
So he remembers that each time that this magic happened, his vision went white. It's a sign. And each time he knew it was the power of the sword. But in the past, the magic of the sword had been rage, too. This was a different kind of rage. I feel like this is related to whatever weird thing you were talking about the other day with the eyes, like feeling the anger in the eyes, but like not anger.
Yeah.
It's this, I guess. He thought of how he used to feel when he drew his sword in anger. The wrath, the fury, the want to kill, the hate.
He understood.
He felt a wave of cold wash through him, prickling his skin. 2 sides. He understood. The spirits help him. he understood. He brought it forth, let it cast everything in white sheen. I thought that was like kind of written nice.
I thought so too.
Okay, but here's my...
He hits with those chapter enders a lot.
I know, sometimes they are really good. And they don't sound... They're like not cringy.
No.
I don't know why. And I'm like, everything points to the idea that these would kind of suck and then they don't, and it's kind of weird.
Terry, as a writer, frequently is that gif of the guy with a quill writing fire onto the paper, but the house is also on fire. It's because he like writes fire lines, but it's like, and I'm burning the entire structure down by doing it.
I guess, yeah, sort of.
It's like the depth of your passion in these lines is great, but it's not, the backbone of it is like falling apart.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You know, like.
Here's my thought, though.
Yeah. White magic goo.
White magic. Okay. He's reflecting on that feeling he gets. He's also reflecting on when he's used the sword in the past and how this is different. How do we make sense of, like, for example, the first man he killed, the quad member.
Yeah. He
was doing it out of love for Kaylin.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But he used the hate. He hated someone that would hurt his love, so he was using the hate magic then.
But I guess I'm like when he killed the guards, for example, why did he love the guards?
What, just now?
Yeah.
No, he loved Denna.
I understand. And he loved Kaylin when he killed that quad member.
You're right.
What's the difference? Tell me what functionally is different about those two scenarios.
Nothing.
He didn't love it. It doesn't actually make any sense. He killed that quad member. He did hate. He hated those guards when he killed them too.
So maybe.
God, what?
And this kind of tracks. They both always exist at the same time. He just didn't know how to channel the love portion of it.
Okay, so he just didn't have...
the hate, it comes with the love. He can only hate someone so much because they're hurting someone he loves. And all the time, when he killed that first quad member... time slowed down. He was super powered. He slashed right through their body, which sounds like Whiteheart's sword energy, right? But like he wasn't like thinking about it right. Now he can. That's the only difference.
The only difference is that he still hates the person. He's still saying, I love this person, therefore I will kill and hurt this person. It's just if he's internally focusing on how much he loves the person when he does it versus saying, I hate that person for hurting the person I love.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay. It's so minute.
And it's messy.
It's once again, it is very similar to the enemy web to me where I'm kind of like.
Yeah,
I feel like you'd be feeling both so loudly. It would be really hard to know like what's in control, but I don't. The enemy web one I find stupider than this. And I think the main reason is because we're setting this precedent of Richard like meditating so much recently.
Yeah.
That I'm kind of like, okay, I think it's just like which feeling he's meditating on largely at any given time.
Agree. Yeah.
But yeah, I was just kind of like, I feel like those scenarios were really similar.
They feel pretty similar. Yeah.
Right?
No, they do.
Okay. Well, he has arrived at Denna's room.
But now, real quick.
Yeah.
No seeker in the history of seeking, despite the ability to do it, has ever thought about it that way.
Okay, well, I guess I need to know...
They only thought it was hate, ever.
I think the sword seems to inflame your hate so much that maybe it's like you have to love so hard to be able to like supersede...
The loudness of the sword's hate.
Yeah, and I guess I wish that it was not that nobody's ever done it. I wish it was like the Seekers of old used to do it.
That's what I wanted.
When they were like really picked the right way and they were like intended to be the Seeker, etc. And then all these like fools who have been doing it in the last however long, where they just kept giving it out to anybody's, they never figured it out.
It's always cool in a fantasy story to imply that the power level that you're looking at has not been accessed since ancient times, but does exist there. Because then it's an echo of the past.
Yeah.
And that is always a cool thing to harken back to. And then, if you want to get nuts, then you take it up a level at some point. If you hit a bunch of ancient power levels, where you're like, he's doing all of them. He's one of the true Elder Seekers. Okay. And then you're like, they've never done
Yes,
this.
I agree,
Then you
right.
can go nuts. But like to say like this basic power in the first book is something that no seeker has ever done, and I have to assume
when
this
you
world's at least 500 years old, right?
And when
I
you
don't
explain
know.
what it is, you're kind of like, somebody could have figured that out.
Right? I don't know.
I am, like I said, it sucks because he even set up the precedent that makes perfect sense. Like I said, with the idea that it used to be this really powerful, esteemed position, and now it's like kind of crumbled, and they're just letting whoever the fuck do it.
Exactly.
That it's like it's so rife for the like it used to be done, it's no longer done. It hasn't been done in a very long time. Are you a real seeker?
Done.
Never been done.
Never been done.
Because what I don't.
In the world in which there was a magical council city run by wizards.
Yeah.
And they handpicked the seeker.
They couldn't just say focus, meditate on love. They couldn't say that to you. Why?
No one figured out how it worked. What happened with the first seeker? When they made the sword and they handed it to some guy, they didn't know how it worked.
I guess that
They
was
were
like
just
a hidden function.
Yeah, there's a lot of those, it seems like.
I
Come
just
on.
think somebody would have stumbled into it. Maybe,
It's not
'cause
that deep.
I don't
It should
see
be
why-
right there.
I don't really get like why the implication isn't that like a lot of humans have the capability to love deeply rather than
Only seekers.
Richard.
Well, yeah.
Like what? Why?
We hand chased the sword. Because we showed anyone could pretty much wield this thing, right?
Yeah.
Kaylin was able to. I mean, I know she has magic, but
Yeah.
we hand chased the sword. He's not going to figure out the love function?
I mean,
No way.
Samuel had it.
Samuel, he couldn't figure out the love function. That's why he turned into Samuel.
Yeah, I understand.
So that's what happens. If you only use the sword in hate, you turn into
I
Samuel.
guess that makes sense.
And every seeker turned into Samuel prior to this generation?
I guess.
Every single seeker
'Cause
down
they
the line
all let-
all turned into Samuel? Or did something special happen with Samuel?
No. I think that's just how it goes.
Okay. Because Zed talked about it. We need to figure out how to turn the sword white. I don't know. I got to look in the books. But Darken Rahl seems to think that it's never been done. So who's right? Does Darken Rahl not know the sword history that well?
But then he did, because he seemed to know exactly how it worked.
Yeah, because he understands the duality of magic, and no one else does, apparently.
It's pretty basic, I think.
All right, so he's got all that sword justice juice brimming out of his eyeballs.
He enters the room like all kind of like overtaken by the white sword empathy love magic, right?
Yeah.
He enters nearly in a trance in the white haze of the magic. So I'm like, is just the sword glowing, or is like he glowing too?
Yeah, he's glowing. It's funnier that way.
Oh, it's kind of cool.
He's got like an 80s
Yes, exactly.
laminate filter where
So-
he's just like hovering.
He pushes the door to Denna's quarters, closed behind himself. He calmly held the power, held the whiteness of it, held the joy and the sorrow of it. Okay, so he's all about the duality and
Joy and the
the
sorrow,
positive
white and the
side
black.
of this
Yeah.
anger.
Mhm.
It does kind of work. Kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of,
Kind
right?
of.
Like I see where we're going with
Yeah.
this. Denna is sitting naked in the center of her bed, her legs crossed, her braid is undone and hair brushed out. You know something bad's gonna happen because
Holy
her
shit.
hair's down.
What happened to her braid?
She's wearing her angel on a gold chain around her neck. It's hanging between her breasts. Her
Cute.
hands lay in her lap. She's kind of also we're really evoking a lot of like meditation imagery, right?
She's meditating,
naked and
absolutely.
meditating.
It's kind of giving like priestess like
Yeah.
energy. It's got like like the line and the lotus pose, and yeah.
So she says, "You have come to kill me, my love," and he says,
Yes, mistress.
"This is the first time you have ever called me simply mistress. You have always called me Mistress Denna in the past. It means something," which is just a little...
I long for subtlety. I wish he just said yes, mistress, and she like smiled, and we didn't get any sort of explanation.
He already, we did. We already went very far into he's not going to call her mistress. He will only... Yeah.
We know. So, and also, the whole thing's weird a little bit. A little like fetishy and just, I don't know.
How so?
I don't. What are we doing with Mistress versus Mistress Denna? Like, how is that?
Well, he was... Because it was part of that Richard psychological game. I'm making rules for myself that are going to keep me feeling in control during
Which
this.
he also abdicated by putting himself in a box. So all of it's weird. But like, I mean, the focus on like Mistress is too cutesy, too pet name for me. It means too much. It's too emotional. And it's like, it doesn't have to be. Why did you arbitrarily choose that?
Because I feel like that was the point. Like, for him to feel like he has control, he just has to arbitrarily choose some shit, you know?
I guess so.
Like, it's just, like, not real. It's just, like, his perception is...
Yeah.
I don't know.
But, I mean, now I have to weigh, like, what... To Terry, does Mistress versus Mistress X have a different feeling? Or is it just an arbitrary Richard choice?
I feel like maybe both. Like it feels to me like the Mistress Denna was like him calling her Denna, but he just has to say the mistress beforehand.
Yeah.
We're just calling her mistress is like, you are just that figure for me.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
It's more familiar.
I think it's more
name. It's
like
more formal the other way.
I feel like it's more like you are that thing.
Instead
like
of
being
you
Denna,
are...
you're Denna, right? You're just Denna. You're a person. Mistress means like you're the archetype. And so when he says Mistress Denna, it's more like these are all times I would just be calling you Denna, and you're just making me put that in the front of it. Or if I just call you Mistress, I'm agreeing that you're only that thing. Does that make any sense?
Kinda. Yeah, if I called someone like Dr. John versus just Doctor. That I'm putting you in that role in my mind as Doctor.
You're Doctor.
You're the Doctor to me.
Right.
The
As
Doctor.
opposed to, like,
she's the mistress. Or no, she's Mistress Denna. She's one of many mistresses.
if she's Mistress Denna, she's just one of many. Being mistress means like you're, for me,
My mistress.
Which
now brings me back to my fetishy point where I'm like, someone has a concept of my mistress.
I guess, but like you said, if it applies to like Doctor,
It applies to mistresses, I guess. But it's so weird because mistress, in its typical context, means a lover outside of my wife. A mistress in this context apparently doesn't... Also that.
His wife, Kaylin.
I know. But also... so now she's no longer his Mistress Denna. She's not his dominatrix
because he
controller.
really...
Now she's literally his mistress.
Well, I think it's a twofold. Like, she is actually his mistress because he really did, in some capacity, fall in love with her. So she has been his mistress in terms of his relationship with Kaylin. But also, there's a lot during their interaction here where I feel like he is, via his empathy, agreeing to have one conversation with her where he is completely in her worldview. Like, this whole time, Richard has maintained this separation of, like, you are, Mord Sith, this and that. We're, like, kind of in opposition to each other to some extent.
Sure.
Because he's like, I don't agree with what you're doing. I don't agree with the way you're viewing everything, etc.
Yeah.
I feel his gift to her in the last moment is, like, him being like, I'm just going to literally engage with you as if your whole worldview is correct and true.
Which is, in a lot of ways, empathy.
Well, yeah, it's like extreme empathy. That's why I liked it.
Yeah.
I think he came to her in his, like, way to make this...
He honored her death.
Yeah, by being like, okay, this whole conversation we have right now, I
will finally play my part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it is, yes, what you wanted, it's true in this moment, you know?
Which is funny because this is probably it is the last time she is that, and also she doesn't really want to be that anymore.
Yeah.
So he's like, on your way out, I'll cap it off real nice.
Yeah, so I guess that's how I interpreted it. A lot of what they say, like, he even says things that I feel like he reflects on and is, like, not totally even, like, believing, but he's obviously just saying it to give it to her. Like, not in a fake way. That's what I was impressed by. It didn't come across as Richard being like somebody could do this in maybe a condescending way. Not even condescending. I don't know what word I'm looking for. Someone could do it in a way that feels just like a lie. Like, they're just like, it's fake, but they're like, this will be good for her, so I'll really act it out. Like, Richard really gets into her mindset in this moment, and he doesn't really believe it, but he almost, in that moment, he's viewing everything through her lens so much that he really feels it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
So I think him calling her mistress is him being like, yeah, you know what? You are my mistress in this moment, because if I view this relationship through your lens, then yeah, you did accomplish that. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yes, and it's interesting because now Darken Rahl says directly that he had the ability to escape at any time. He had to kill her with this magic, which was always there. And what's interesting about that is that Richard wasn't ready yet to see things from her perspective this fully. It required this level of... Because he hated her, reasonably, understandably, but he wasn't able to accept that he also loved her.
Yeah.
Now, let's just stay in this moment until we have to leave it.
Yeah.
Because there are so many things with Constance and all that ruin it, and it cracked the egg. But the egg itself is kind of beautiful.
I agree.
And
this Fabergé egg.
Let's leave
right
the Fabergé egg until we finish this chapter, and we can we will crack the omelet next chapter.
He takes the beautiful Fabergé egg and
smashes it. Yeah, as he's wont to do. But yeah, so there is this beautiful thing of, Zed was talking about the pain, right, that the wizards have to go through to learn, and this is definitely part of Richard's journey of feeling things really intensely that are terrible for you, but like that teach you things. He does take a mistress here. He is a lover to Denna.
Yeah.
As much as he loves Kaelin, this was forced upon him, and it is real. Like, it happened. It's not like...
The emotions that it brought up, he really experienced. Like, they existed.
Throwing away the sword, not an option. Like, he can't stop being the Seeker now because he doesn't want to admit that. He can't go down another hallway and escape. He has to face Denna and say, you did these terrible things to me. I understand why you did them. You're not even entirely at fault for most of them. I see you. But I also, even though I hate what you did, and I hate you for doing it, I also love what happened a little bit.
On some level.
There's a connection that was formed, and he can't deny that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, what the white love is, right? It's just this Richard's connection to her. Means he has to honor that you were my mistress. You were my partner.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. But like I said, I do think he's also just doing this, like getting into her head. And then, some of the things he says, I don't think he thinks.
I think he thinks them here. And I do think that Terry does this, I don't know, consciously or not, but a lot of his writing where two people are together very intimately happen in these spheres, like the Spirit House with Richard and Kaelin. They're very different in there than they are out in the world. And this is Richard and Denna's Spirit House. This candle-lit, naked, white glow scene. This is them really connecting, at a soul level, right?
Yeah.
So it's like Terry does this where he gives Richard, I guess, part of his power and his ability or whatever becomes this deep ability to connect with very beautiful women and to really be with them, despite the fact that he might not actually agree with that tomorrow. I don't know. I don't know.
Wow.
In the end, I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He means it right now with her.
In a sense. Yeah. It feels right. It makes sense to me, and I didn't feel pissed off with him at all during this.
No.
I will be pissed off with him in...
One
more page. But, okay. In here, where I'm not. So, when she says, it means something that you're calling me mistress. He says, yes, it means everything, my mate. It means I forgive you everything. He keeps really intentionally, pulling, mistress, my mate. All the words Denna
gave to him
feels are meaningful for her towards him. He's making sure he's,
using them.
It's
her vocabulary. It's her world.
Exactly.
That's being supported here.
I guess, I just am you could do this for anybody.
Yeah.
If you wanted
but then
to.
The book becomes crazy.
I know, exactly. But I'm what? It's really very beautiful in this moment. And I am okay... you literally could walk in to Darken Rahl's garden and just go sit down and do the same thing, right? If you get to know him enough.
I wish he would. I think it would be pretty fascinating.
It'd be weird.
It would be weird.
That would be a weird book.
You killed my dad. You did all this stuff. Well, even just keep the book up until now. I mean, obviously I want changes. We've talked about it. But if Richard is now learning.
Right.
Let me sit down with my enemies. Let me figure out how to connect with everyone. Right. Let's find a truth that everyone shares.
But it's interesting.
It's an interesting idea.
Because he's only doing it for Denna because he was forced into the circumstance of getting to know her enough to be able to empathize. Because
Correct.
if this didn't happen and he came across Denna, even knowing he could do this, I don't think he would do this for her.
He wouldn't.
Because he couldn't because he doesn't know her enough.
I agree. But now that he was forced to know her enough,
Right.
now he can. And now that he's had this experience, he should extrapolate it out to almost everyone else.
It becomes confusing, though, because you're like, okay, so then is it
spend
just like, as long as you don't get your hand forced into knowing them, take advantage of that and don't empathize. Like, I don't know. Is that what I don't know.
I don't know. You should spend 7 days right now sitting down with Darken Rahl and being like, explain it to me. Like, make me understand. You want me to help you? Make me understand.
I just don't understand.
And then if you get to the point and you're like, you're kind of just a selfish bitch and this is crazy and you shouldn't have done it, then that's where you are.
Totally. But like how, I don't know. So Constance, that's what would happen if Richard sat with her for a month.
Yeah, you don't think
he's just going to come out the other side and be like, not her.
You don't think if Richard goes in there with the sword that he's suddenly impervious to Mord-Sithing and just goes, fucking explain it to me. She's not just going to break down in 30 minutes about how she's been raped since she was 12.
I mean, maybe not, but like, it doesn't even matter. She doesn't need to do that in 30 minutes for it to be true.
No, you're right.
Denna wouldn't have in 30 minutes.
Yeah. But it's obviously there. It's
that.
The source of all of their cruelty. They're especially
the Mord-Sith
made to be cruel.
Yeah. It's absurd. I could have even had the delineation of like, maybe we do this for all Mord-Sith now, because he was forced to know Denna and he was forced to understand their plight, and maybe not Darken Rahl, and you could still question it, but you kind of, but like, it's bizarre to be like, this Mord-Sith, not that Mord-Sith. Weird.
Well, what's annoying is I do think it will be Denna, and the rest of the Mord-Sith are good. Constance is bad.
I feel like there's some... Am I incorrect in thinking there's some that are, like, questionable?
Maybe. Yeah, probably. I don't know. But, like,
it's
not like he goes through the Mord-Sith and executes every other one. He, like,
with the rest
gives
of
them carte
than
blanche, whatever, and then 8 or 9 of the hottest ones stick around to hang out with them. Yeah. Especially the gays.
Well, he doesn't like that, right? Like, isn't Richard, like, bothered by it?
Probably. Squirrels ain't fucking other boy squirrels in the woods.
Have you ever seen a monkey? That's what I would say.
I don't think so. I don't think the Westlands got monkeys.
You ever seen a dolphin? That's what I would
There's no ocean in this world.
There is. No, I think there is. Well, anyway.
There's no ocean.
These are the questions.
Richard doesn't know it. That's
I would ask.
You ever seen a dolphin? Like, that's not an answer.
That's my gotcha. Ever seen a monkey? Ever seen a dolphin? Ever heard about bonobos? So she says, I have made myself ready. Richard says, why are you naked?
So why are you naked? So why are your tits out? Mistress, why are your tits out?
It's a little annoying because the answer she gives is, I assumed her answer the second it said she was naked. And it's Richard. I assume Richard could also figure that out, but he has to ask because we need to explain it to the reader. And she says, because you know what, it's a little impactful, so I'll let it slide.
I think it's
because everything I have to wear is Mord-Sith. I have nothing else. I do not wish to die in the clothes of a Mord-Sith. I wish to die as I was born. Denna, nothing more. Right?
Yep.
So it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Richard asks how she knew he was going to kill her. Well, see, the other episode I said maybe Denna is suspecting that she's going to die. And you were like, how would she know that? Well, this is how she would know that.
Yeah, well, I couldn't have predicted this paragraph. I don't know what to tell you.
So she says that when Master Rahl chose her to go after Richard, she had to volunteer for the job because the prophecies foretold of a seeker who would be the first to master the white magic of the sword. First of all...
A couple of questions. I don't believe that if Darken Rahl presents you with a job opportunity, you're allowed to say no. I don't think that's how that works.
Well, he just doesn't go... what he did to her when she went to the Garden of Life before and he, like, fucked her up, their whole past...
Their whole past, the entirety of it.
Everything about Darken Rahl pre this chapter, I would not think that. So then we were like being generous and being like, well, maybe Darken Rahl is like giving up control a bit because he knows he's going to rule the world. But this is way
before that.
That he was being so reasonable. Oh, I won't make you do this, Denna. You have to volunteer because I don't want you to die. I don't know. Does he feel that way about her?
I don't think
Well,
so.
I don't know. I guess she was his favorite, though.
I guess so.
But then I would think that then he'd be like, no, actually, you're not even allowed to go on this journey because I don't want you to die.
And then maybe instead of like beating her and raping her like the night before,
Yeah.
you could go, is he giving you a hard time? Because I told you he was really hard. Well, tell me what's going on with him.
That's my other question.
Yeah, you
First
know,
of all,
sometimes I had him under my control, and then he just kicked the girl's face in half, and that was
I
kind of
think
weird.
it's the thing
and
we said
I think
was going to happen.
Could you tell me more about that? Is there some sort of like trick with him that like I can't control it?
Why?
And he goes, oh yeah, you know,
Are they?
the legend does say that.
Why
about
are they
him.
confused? Why was Denna ever confused
Don't
by
know.
Richard doing these things? And then Darken Rahl also seemed like, oh, I can't believe it. I didn't know you were going to be so difficult.
This whole thing could have been solved with Darken Rahl doesn't beat her ass up and do all these problem things to it. Maybe Demonas does it. Someone else does it in his stead. He's not even here right now. That's why he hasn't questioned Richard
That
yet.
would've made
And then he
sense.
lands and it's like, you're going tomorrow. Darken
Okay,
Rahl's
great.
home.
Love that. Yeah.
That would have, then all of this would have worked. But
Better,
no,
certainly
Darken
better.
Rahl's been sitting up the stairs all week. We're just eating salads and beating you. Then he beats my ass for like not beating you right, which he knows was gonna happen and could have been a problem. Doesn't ask any questions, just rapes me and beats me. And then the next day when I come in, he's like, hey, feeling okay? And then goes, he is the thing that I thought, and then I kind of told you that was going to happen. It's okay. You did all right. I'm sorry I beat you.
It's one or the other. Either he doesn't care about those sorts of like things,
Nuances,
and he's
yeah.
like, I don't give a fuck. You didn't do what I asked you to do. I always get mad and beat you. Who cares? Or he's like extremely reasonable. In which case, why was he confused?
That's what it means to be Mordsith. Is that like, oh, there's no way that you could possibly like you need to always succeed?
Yeah.
Or there's no to be Mordsith is you do this thing, but there's certain people that
you
like
just can't do it
you can't
to.
do it to, and we know that. And it seems like Darken Rahl knew about it and just didn't think about it.
This did nothing leading up to this from her behavior or Darken Rahl's behavior suggested that they would have had a conversation suspecting he was special and had special magic.
Correct.
But apparently
Correct.
they did know that going into this. They knew that. Yeah, so then Darken Rahl was like, if the prophecy, if it's that guy, you're probably going to die by his hands. And then she says she asked to go anyway because, like, essentially she wanted to die. Because she says some of the things she did to Richard, she had done to no one else in hopes that he would, in fact, be the one with the magical power and kill her. Does that track?
Does that resonate with you as a woman?
It's her as a Mord Sith, I think. That
Okay,
wants
does that
to
resonate
die.
with you as a Mordsith? Hold the Agil when you answer.
I think that maybe, but Dennis, I don't know. She's so conflicted. It's confusing because I'm like, she does seem to like love being a Mord Sith. So much of like the chapters with her was her like waxing poetic about how much she absolutely adores doing all of this stuff.
Correct.
But then she obviously did have that side to her that was like, I want to be baby.
Yeah.
I want lotion on me.
Yeah,
I
put the
want-
alm juice on my back.
Etc.
Yeah.
So I think it's that part of her that is naked right now that is wanted to die, I guess.
I guess so. Some sweet little thing at her core that was left.
Yeah.
Whereas Constance has none of that. So
No, absolutely.
squash her like a bug.
So I don't know, like I guess it makes sense. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. So she suspected Richard was the seeker of prophecy when he kicked Princess Violet, and then she's like, I knew it when you killed the guards. But like, I feel like it would have been pretty obvious from the time he kicked Princess Violet, right? Because she was like, you aren't supposed to do that.
But then if she is trying to provoke this thing,
Yeah.
why wouldn't she be... First off, none of it really is ringing true. I'm like, everything you did to Richard seems pretty standard fare.
It did, because honestly, once we got him with Constance, she didn't do anything that Denna didn't do, and Denna was happy and like didn't seem like it was unusual. What Constance was worse, I don't know.
Denna seemed to do whatever Constance did, but much better, because she was much more sadistic about it, which is also a good thing or something, whatever.
She took her job seriously.
She took her job seriously, so she doesn't deserve to be murdered. She wasn't like specifically trying to like
Really get him.
provoke Richard's
Maybe
response. And like when she was sure of it, when he killed the guard outside of Queen Melena's palace, and she
Yeah.
like smirked and then like petted his head all day
Yes.
while he healed. She didn't like turn it up when she got back to Dahara, where she was like, "We need to get this out
I
of
know,
him."
because I think at that, then I think she was, there was a complication in that she actually just liked him and liked spending time with him. And I think maybe some part of her thought like, can I,
Get both?
yeah, like, can I maybe come back to myself and be
through him?
Yeah.
Which she did in the end.
But not really, because she also wanted, because then Richard absolutely squashed that dream when he was like, we can only be what we are. And she was like, oh, fuck, he's right. I can't come back from that. And then I think she went back to like being like, all right, fine. We'll go back to the dying plan.
Which, by the way, I don't know if I subscribe to this. You can only be what you are. I think you can change.
I think so too.
I think they turned you into a Mordsith. You can unturn yourself. Probably.
Maybe
not to say you're not going to
not
have kinky
every-
sex or something,
Yeah.
but like you're gonna be able to like probably stop torturing people for fun. In a way.
It's just like, could she do it with consent, you know?
Yeah.
And that could solve it.
Yeah.
They didn't learn about the tenets of BDSM yet.
Not yet.
That could have saved Denna, I think.
Zed's got the book on him at all times, but he left it at Addie's. No. Oh, the bone zone.
And then they keep describing her face as very childlike, which again I think goes back to that like nakedness thing. We have the duality of the current Denna, who is a Mordsith and who is a sadist at her core, and she realizes she just like can't not be.
Yeah.
It is a little like doomerism take. And then we have like the pre-Mordsith version of elements of Denna that are like childlike and innocent and all of these things. And Richard says, I'm so sorry. She says, you'll remember me. And he says, I will have nightmares for the rest of my life. And her smile widened. She said, I'm glad. And she seemed genuinely proud. Like, that's kind of like he's knows.
Saying that for her. Like, it's not, yeah. It's not
and
like,
it's like also true. He's being like clever about it.
He's being cheeky with the truth. But
yeah,
like,
he's like,
in a way that
he probably will.
honors her thing.
But he's like, I think he's like, oh, I've learned. Like, past me wouldn't have understood that me saying that is giving her something. But like
past
now,
him would have said it angrily, and she would have smiled like
they would have been
snarkily.
more like
they would have been missing each
oppositional
other. Now it's almost like I will
playing
have nightmares.
together.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's
which like I mean is a little intense when you consider how crazy this is for him. But Denna asks Richard if he loves Kaylin. Richard asks how she knows about Kaylin, and Denna says that when he was hurt enough, he would cry out for her. And Denna asks,
crazy that we, the reader,
Didn't
never
know
saw
that.
that.
We didn't
but
know?
all right,
Okay.
yeah, it happened when we were gone, I guess.
Denna asks if Kaylin will be his mate, and then he's like, oh, we can't because she's a confessor.
Yeah.
And Denna says, I'm sorry, this hurts you? And he says, more than anything you've done to me. And she says, good. I'm glad the one you love is able to give you more pain than I was. And then Richard says, he knew in her twisted way.
In her
Denna
own fucked up way.
meant this as a sick and twisted mind. Denna meant this as a comfort to him.
Yes. Yeah.
Giving of her love. And he reflects on how Denna gives pain as a way of showing love. Yep. And he cries and he wonders, what have they done to this poor child?
It's constant.
Yeah, what?
So Richard, who just found out about two sides of the sword magic, is now pouring all his love onto Denna, who she's much hotter and fucked him. He spent a lot more time with her, and she's very intimate in her literal sadism. Whereas Constant is bullish and doesn't care about your pain pleasure connection, and only shows hate towards these people.
Yes, exactly.
We don't want to maybe teach her that there's another side to it. We don't want to show her that there's a love version of it. Denna was only doing it all out of love. Come on.
Yeah, Denna was...
Come on.
That's what we're supposed to say. We're supposed to say,
yo,
Denna was doing white sword magic with her Angel. So she was giving pain out of love.
Yeah.
and Constance is doing it out of hate. But I'm like, okay, so
Richard,
like,
you've been doing it out of hate this whole fucking time.
Let's rewind. Let's go right back to you killing that guy who was about to attack Kaylin. So we should all come and send in the troops and be like, you know what, Richard? You did that out of hate. You can't get better. Yeah, look, he changed. Anyway, you can't get better. You did it out of hate. The end. Fuck him. Kill him.
And you were just a dumb guy from the woods. Like, you had nothing happen to you your
Correct.
whole life.
And you
this
still
woman was
did it.
tortured
You still
since she was
did
a
it.
baby.
You still killed people out of hate.
Out of hate. You piece of shit.
That's... Hello?
Same logic. If Richard wasn't the main character, he'd be getting skewered, and that's all I know.
Richard says that when they're talking, Denna's saying, like, I'm so happy Kaylin will give you all this pain or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he says it is a different kind of pain. None could be your equal in the things you have done. Which I also like, because he's right. Like, it's also... I liked it. I thought it was clever. Like, he is not lying. He's like, you know, I'm not going to even correct you, because I know you mean that lovingly.
Yeah.
And he's like, actually, no, though. Like, the pain you value, you were the best.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, Kaylin can't give me that. And then Richard, in the back of his mind, is like, and that's good. But he's like, it doesn't matter, because right now we're like, you're talking through your point of view. And in that case, you killed it, you know?
Yeah. Does this at all ring to you as, like, some sort of weird, like, not pro-cheating metaphor, but, like, some sort of, like...
I do. The cheating aspect of it is so interesting to me.
It's kind of like Richard cannot be blamed for loving this woman.
I know.
At all, because of the way it was set up.
It's
but
very
it does
convenient.
feel like it's kind of like, you need to grant certain men this excuse when they fall in love with another woman who stole them by magical means, you know?
But maybe you do. Like, maybe you do.
I am not thinking that you don't for Richard, but I am kind of like, does this have... It feels like it has a broader implication to it.
Well,
I don't know why.
we know that Kaylin gets hers at some point, too. It's all the same kind of goofy shit.
Yeah, but that's a one-off. Did she even have fun? I don't know.
I know that's the real shit here.
It wasn't like a 12-month
I
tirade.
mean, to be fair, he like didn't have that much fun.
You know, probably wasn't the best
he
time.
Didn't have that much fun.
He was running on
honestly,
blistered
she
feet.
probably got out better.
Scot-free, kind of, yeah. Little stain. That's about it.
Just a little blood.
I'm
more intrigued by it because I feel that cheating seems to be quite prevalent.
It does.
In this universe.
It's on the mind.
And it is always in a circumstance in which they weren't intentionally doing it, but why do it so much? Why are they doing it so much?
Makes you wonder.
I don't know. It's kind of interesting. She gives Richard her angel necklace and asks him if he will wear it to remember her by. And then
now I know,
goes into angel mechanics.
Yeah, good.
In this really emotional, heartfelt moment here. It won't hurt around your neck if you hold the chain. Only if you hold the angel itself in your hand. Why would it work that?
Whatever. So he can wear it. That's the only reason. Whatever. Who cares? Who
doesn't.
fucking cares?
I really don't like the way.
Well, he was trained by it, so it should technically always hurt him.
Yes.
So if it's resting on his pecs, it should probably be like, you know.
Not. He says, it would be my honor, my mate. He lets her put it on him, and she gives him a kiss on the cheek. She asks him how he will do it, meaning kill her, and he slowly takes out the sword and notices it doesn't ring the way it did in the past. It hisses.
I like that, yeah.
A white, hot hiss. So I was like, that is cool.
It's giving, like, very hot torch energy. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. It's cool.
So Richard doesn't even look at the sword, but he knows it turned white. He stares into her eyes. And then there's this quote, the power flooded through him. He was at peace. All anger, all hate, all malice was gone. Where he had felt these things from the sword before, he now felt only love for this child, this vessel into whom others had poured pain, this receptacle of cruelty, this innocent, tortured soul who had been trained to do the thing she hated above all else, hurting others. I don't know about that.
Not Constance. That's different for her.
His empathy with her made him ache with sorrow, with love for her. Like, not that was written poorly, but, like, reading it, all the, like, dialogue they had and a lot of the writing about, like, just the very simple like way the room was, the way they were staring at each other, the things they were saying to each other, that was what I found emotional. Like, I find a paragraph like that really takes me out of it. Okay. I didn't like it. Like, to me, I feel that was like so much less impactful. I feel like it's probably hard if you haven't like just read the chapter to know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Reading it and reading their words and everything, even her putting the angel on him, even though I'm goofing on the whatever. Like, I found all of that really did emotionally hit. And I just find, like, that's the sort of stuff where I'm like, wasn't that exactly what all of the words in the scene and the actions already were telling me?
No, that sort of a paragraph belongs in the margins as notes, as your like concept of the scene.
Yeah.
It doesn't belong, because right now, you're right. It's the dialogue, it's the atmosphere, it's the moment.
Yeah.
That is the stagecraft of it that works in the theater of your mind. It's the play.
Yeah.
You don't need that. We know that.
I know.
We've talked about that ad nauseum. It is set in the background of our minds.
He's empathizing with her.
His great empathy activates and lists all the reasons for empathy.
That's why he is acting the way he's acting.
She is filled with malice and hate. Also, Carl, who was used as a vessel for when he was executed via molten gruel or something, is the same sort of imagery of just being a vessel that's filled with malice and hate and all this stuff for others' purposes. It's the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's a definitely intentional.
And once again, doesn't need to be stated directly.
No.
And even like one or two of those things, he could have like mentally been like, she was just a girl. Like that would work. You know, if he was just thinking like, she looks so childlike and I couldn't help but
I can't
feel for this.
I mean, he already said she looked childlike. It was like 3 sentences ago.
I know.
I don't know. I was getting a little teary at this point, and then that paragraph really, like, my brain just sort of went like, like, where I was like, I know. Why are you saying it like that?
When your brain just like emotions, and then like it's just like waiting. It's like it starts plateauing, and you're like, don't let me dip. I kind of want to feel this feeling.
No, well, it ruined the, like, momentum. I was really in it, and then I went, now I'm not in it, because now you're asking me to step outside of it and like meta consider it, and I don't want to. I want to be in it with them. I want to be in it with their emotions. So anyway, maybe it doesn't bother other people. That really takes me out of it. Richard kind of like does one last ditch attempt. He's like, you can just let me go and I won't kill you. And she says, no, if he tries to leave, she will stop him with the pain of the magic and make him sorry he was trouble for her. You kind of get the sense that like she's doing it just out of like trying to get him to kill her. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, you're like,
well, she's like, finish it. Like,
right after that, she says, I am Mord Sith. I am your mistress. I could be no more than who I am. You can be no less my mate. So she's essentially saying, I don't know. I thought this was like kind of clever in the sense that she is basically saying like, I can't do that. I can't let you go because I am so deeply attached to my Mord Sith identity on some level that like I have to just, I can't be a bad Mord Sith in the end.
Yeah.
I can't live being a bad Mord Sith. That won't work for me. So I either have to die or be a good Mord Sith. Those are our options. And then
I can respect that. Yeah.
I do think that hearkening right back to the I could be no more than who I am is sort of her explaining why she wants to die.
Yeah. Because I am this thing I don't like anymore.
Exactly. But yeah, I agree with you that it does, you are just sort of like, can't we like maybe just like, let's just try to help her. But she's saying, no, I won't even do it. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
I will only do these two things. So he puts the sword in between her breasts, the tears in his eyes, and the white glow make it difficult to see. I think the imagery is pretty baller. Right? Like him with the glowing white sword between her breasts, and it's so bright that he like almost can't see her anymore. I like it.
I like it.
And then Denna takes the tip of the sword and moves it up a few inches and says, my heart is here,
my heart is up here.
Do you think that I liked that a lot? Actually, I feel like it was like a really human moment for both of them. I like that they almost made it like it's not too polished. It wasn't super cool in a way.
Fair.
Like it's almost like I I don't know why I always reference things I have watched recently, but we just saw Baby Girl, and which 10 out of 10 banger, by the way. But it made me think of like when they have like their initial like sex meeting and how they made it like kind of awkward.
Oh, so awkward.
And you're like, oh, it's like kind of hot, but it's also kind of like not cool at the same time.
No.
This kind of made me think of that. Like
That's
Richard's
fair.
not that cool about it. He's not just like, it is cool, the imagery, the white glowing sword, all this stuff, but like he's not.
He's not like some angel killer.
No, he's like a human. He's
a
awkward.
human, and not only just awkward. He is aroused in this way. Like the sword's magic is always so phallic that I thought it was like kind of like he has this sexual connection with her too, and I think being between the breasts and her, it's this like I don't know. He's like I love you know? So it's like he has to kill her with this love now. He's misplaced where the center of her is.
Well, I was saying, is there some metaphor here beyond just, like, I think the awkwardness and the realism is part of it. I was like, there could be some element of Richard almost still being kind of naive in the ways of a killer, because he, like, hasn't really killed that many people
Especially
at this
not
point.
in a gentle way, ever.
Right. So, like, there's just that sense of, like, he doesn't actually know what he's doing. It's
That's
his first
definitely
time.
true.
Kind of like some sort of little virgin metaphor here.
Yeah.
Where it is very, like, you know, you're going to stick it in, and then the girl being like,
Oh, that's not.
oh, it's a little
over
higher
here. It's
or
a little-
lower
yeah.
or whatever. It reminded me of that. But is there something else there saying my heart is here? Like, that feels very... I don't know, like like something from Denna for Denna,
I agree.
right?
Yeah, well,
I'm not sure what exactly.
Well, it's kind of taking control again, like, you know?
It's definitely that, but like specifically like her heart. The fact that she has to like tell people where her heart is, I feel like means something.
I guess, I mean, quite literally, it's probably just been buried for so long. It's probably not apparent, you know? And he knows her better than anyone at this point, and he's still not sure. And I think in her last moment of like being like, all right, she takes control, and for once, instead of pushing everyone else out with the pain and doing all this sort of stuff outwardly, she's saying, I'm bringing you in and I'm showing you exactly where I am.
Oh, that's true. It's interesting that Richard still, despite all of this, he doesn't fully see her. I guess that's what I got out of it.
Well, I think it's one of two things. You could see it that way, and I agree. I think that's a reasonable take, that he's just as empathetic as he still is. There's still a bit of mystery he didn't understand.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's trying. This may be as good as it can get.
And I also take it as maybe what Darken Rahl was warning about half measures. It's like, I think he's still a little... He really doesn't want to.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Know?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's falling short. He doesn't know if he could do it.
I don't know, because I get what you're saying, but I feel like I was like, I think he thinks her heart's there.
Maybe he does.
Like, he's ready to do it. I think he just is like, yeah, it's here. And then she's like, no.
It's not.
It's not.
No, it's right here.
Yeah. Like, which, I don't know. I feel like it had, like, a lot of layers of meaning.
Yeah.
I don't even, like, again, don't know if Terry intentionally meant for it to. He definitely did in the I think he 100% knew the, like, oh, it makes the scene have like a human quality to it, like all those other things. I don't know, maybe he knew.
His greatest victories and greatest blunders as an author, I think, come from him not overthinking things. Mm-hmm. So it's hard. I really think like this just resonated the shit out of him, and he was just like, I'm putting it down, and it glows with this like light, and you're like, wow. And then like, yeah, the next scene, it's like, yeah, but now you're throwing shit on that fire. So I don't know.
So yeah, I don't know if I could totally picture this. I tried real hard. He still has this sword pointed at her heart.
Right, yeah.
He bends. He's still holding it though, and puts his left arm tenderly around her soft shoulders and kisses her cheek. I guess you could do it. I don't know.
You could.
I'm picturing this.
The sword's
sword,
not that long.
All right,
I'm imagining the sword to be more of like a gladius, like a short sword.
It's
sort of
gotta
thing.
be.
Yeah, it's not some fucking like two-handed halberd. Yeah, he's got like a flam brig or whatever the fuck they call it. The giant Scottish sword, and he's just like trying to. No, I think he's just like, it's a little. Then you got to deal with it. Then
I don't know what to do.
Okay, so. I'm going to read Denna's last lines.
I can't do it, guys. I keep crying.
Lauren's going to cry, so I'm just going to...
I'm still crying. Why am I crying? I don't know why I'm crying.
Richard, I have never had a mate like you before. I'm glad I will have no other. You are a very rare person. You are the only person since I was chosen who has cared that I was in pain or done anything to stop it. Thank you for last night, for teaching me what it could be like.
Why am I crying? Guys, I have a problem.
You don't have a problem. It's totally normal.
Tell me, did anybody else cry like this much? Why am I crying?
Because it's sweet.
I know.
Because she's going to die.
I know she's going to die. She wants to die. She wants to die.
And that's sad.
Yeah.
I don't know. And she literally had a very rough life, and one person was nice, and then that nice person has to kill her now. So it's a lot of sad things happening at once.
I know. I don't know why it's making me so sad.
Oh my god. All right, well, now that's...
No, I don't think I could do the next part.
What's the next part?
Well, he says, forgive me, my love, and then...
Forgive me, my love.
She says, everything. Thank you for calling me my love. It is good to hear it once in truth before I die. Twist the sword to be sure it is finished, and Richard, please take my last breath, as I have taught you. I wish you'd have my last breath of life. I don't... Did they... I'm still kind of crying, but did they do that?
As I taught you.
When did that happen?
Maybe when they have sex with the angel between the teeth, they share breath.
Okay, maybe. But I think that idea is very romantic.
Of course it's romantic. I almost wish it was happening under different circumstances, but it is very romantic.
In what sense?
Well, there wasn't all this complication of her being a terrible torturer,
I kind of like it in its, fucked up romantic,
I
almost
know.
gothic romance, how it's
Sure.
you're like, oh, yeah. That's good.
Yeah, you really could
bad.
make this a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
You can make this good.
Imagine this, but a lot of the stuff leading up to it was better, and then the bad shit that's gonna happen after didn't happen. This would hit really hard. That's the problem.
I know.
I'm crying a lot, and I will read the next chapter, and this will be gone.
I know. People don't have the bravery to write hot magical dominatrixes anymore, and I don't think he fully encaptured all of the depth that we could get out of it.
Well, okay, there's that side of it as well. That's not me crying part of it.
I know.
In a daze, he kisses her, and he didn't even feel his hand moving. There was no resistance. The sword went through her as if she were gossamer. I really liked that. I think that's really interesting, nice imagery. I'm assuming that has something to do with the white sword magic.
Yeah.
But I kind of like this visual of it just so softly and easily going in.
Yeah.
It's not very violent.
No.
And he does twist the sword, and he takes her last breath of life. Then he lays her back down onto the bed, and he weeps uncontrollably while stroking her face. And it says he grieved to undo what he had done, and that's the last line, which I also liked that last line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so bummed by how well I thought this was written and how emotional it made me, and the fact
how
that
quickly you will not be able to bask in its glow.
It's fast. It's going to be in 3 sentences.
Yeah, that's rough.
That makes me really sad. It makes me so sad that there's these really impactful nuggets. Maybe not for everyone. Maybe nobody. Like I said, maybe nobody else is crying or feeling that sad about this.
I don't agree.
But I really thought that there was something there, and it's going to get drowned out in a sea of nonsense that doesn't fit the heart and the thought
that went into this.
That is here.
Yeah.
And again, I definitely don't mind. I really wish he would allow Richard to be a more interesting character.
Sure.
And I wish Richard could have this moment and then be bad to Constance and then have that actually be questionable.
Yeah. I don't see that, but maybe.
Sorry I cried, everybody.
Why? Who are you apologizing to?
I don't think
you think the audience is mad that you cried?
They don't want to see me weeping.
They kind of do. I don't know. You're here for our emotional range, and you're just showing some of yours quite in depth. They want me to cry. They want us to laugh. They want us to cry.
They want you to cry.
Yeah, they want me. Of course they do.
I mean, I guess it shouldn't be weird. I literally cried because Char died.
You did. You did. She's right here.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't like girls dying. that like didn't deserve it.
I
Or something.
really don't.
Where are your tears for Queen Milena? So quick to judge Richard for his hatred, but where are your tears for our opulent and corpulent queen?
I have no excuse for that.
You don't. So we conclude chapter 43.
Yes.
And we are on to 44, rapidly approaching the end. I think it's 49 or 50 chapters for the whole book. So
rapidly.
We are, in a couple of months going to be done with this. Crazy. Rapidly.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see if it will be if we could start getting back to 1 episode chapters. That would be nice.
It'd be so cool. So if any of you are still listening after Lauren blubbered all over the place and still care to hear this, we love you, and we'll see you next time.
Love you guys.
Bye.